All right, guys, so we're back on the tier list grind. Today we're doing DPS. Obviously, we did the supports before, and we're waiting for a mantra to do the tank one. But this was going to be a little bit different than the support one, obviously, because there was only 8 heroes in support, and I was able to give a little bit more of a description as to why I put each and every single character in every role. I'm still going to explain why I make each decision that I do and put characters in each of the spots. But obviously, I won't be going into as much detail as the support because there's like 30 characters here compared to 8, and I don't want this video to be 10,000 hours long, right? But before we hop into it, I do want to preface, guys, just like I said in the last one, this is for solo queue. This is not for like a professional 5v5 team environment, because if not, it would just literally be these 2 characters only, because that's literally what's been dominating owl meta and even kind of also dominating solo queue meta. But those characters would be like all that matters. It's just like, yeah, just pick Sojourn and Reaper if you're in a professional team and just pop off with Lucio and Kiriko and Winston, right? But I digress. Let's hop into the actual list. First, we got Ashe, and this one's kind of hard for me. I'm actually thinking A or B. Looking at the list down there and where I'm kind of have positions for other champs, I'm gonna say A. She's a really strong character. She's like one of the strongest characters in the game. Super powerful, obviously. Good mobility with her shotgun. The nade is a good zoning tool that can do a lot of damage. Obviously, if you understand how the scoped and being unscoped and transitioning and getting shots in between, there's a lot of like high skill play with Ashe. Bob is fantastic. All in all, just a good character, right? So I think she's A. I was contemplating B, but I think I'm gonna put her in A for now, right? Obviously, I can rearrange the list as I go through, but we're gonna put her there now. Next, we got my boy Bastion. A lot of people are gonna be upset about this one. He's D. Listen, guys, he's playable. But, and by the way, most of these characters are playable. You know, I'm not upset if I see a Bastion in certain situations, right? There's some situations where he is useful and playable, but he is still D on the list. He just doesn't do what a lot of these other characters do. He can drop a lot of raw DPS, obviously, right? But if you're in high elo and the team understands how to play around a Bastion on like a point trying to push or something, as soon as he gets out of his turret form, he just gets washed, right? And his ultimate isn't really that good anymore, right? Honestly speaking, his ultimate is not the one. So that's why I think he's D. All right, next we got my boy Makusi, the young Cole Cassidy. I'm kind of getting the same vibe. Is he A or B? I think he's worse than Ashe. His grenade is still good. Like the sticky grenade is great, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the stun grenade was. Obviously, the roll's good. It's a mobility skill. It's not the best mobility skill, but high noon, I don't know why, but I feel like in 5v5, it's worse than it was before. It's just kind of like almost a pseudo useless ult. I just think the ability to just pick someone is still so powerful with McCree. You can just roll in, sticky nade one shot, or sticky nade one shot, roll away, like, and just you kill any squishy character. He just kills them, right? So like that kill pressure is still fantastic, which is why I think he's like one of the better characters in the game. Next we have Echo, and she's one of the like least played characters that I have in Overwatch as a whole, but I still think that she's one of the most powerful characters in the game. Obviously, where do I slot her in? I think she's more powerful than Ashe. She's a flight character. She's really good mobility, obviously, because she is a flight character. She's similar to Pharah, but she doesn't have splash, but he has more kill pressure than Pharah does, right? Obviously, with the laser beam, if you're like below a certain amount of health, it just wipes you off the map. And then her kind of like sticky, gooey bombs are great, and her ultimate is super impactful because she can basically take over the enemy tank, and tanks usually have impactful ults, so then she just gets to use the opponent's tank's ultimate against them, against the enemy team, which is really great, right? Yeah, I think she's better than Ashe. Obviously, when you pick someone like Echo, less so Pharah, but like Echo, you want to kind of have supports that fill like a flight type team comp. So maybe a Mercy or an Ana, and she kind of like keeps her in the eye, or like a Zenyatta puts the orb on her and kind of lets it focus on her. I still think she's like really powerful and like really good in the right team. Next, we got my boy Genji post nerf, because if it was pre-nerf, that boy was up here, but post nerf,
Daddy, chill.
The reduced to damage and the total ammunition is just, he's not the guy he used to be, right? There's just characters that are better. He still has good kill pressure, but he has less kill pressure. His deflect is still great. Blade is good, but Blade, I don't know. I don't know if you guys saw my shorts compilation of me just trying to play Genji post nerf, but I could not get a Blade to work. Maybe it's because I didn't have a good like support system behind me to nano boost me and try to combo with stuff, but like dry blades,
what?
Not the one. So yeah, I think he's worse than McCree now after the nerf. he's still playable. And if I see a Genji on my team and I'm like playing support, I'll pick Ana or something and try to like make him more powerful, because like if you do nano a Genji that's blading, it's insane. If you bubble him and he gets a chance to just go crazy, like it's really, really good, right? So he still has like a very high upside, but I think like his mid game and while he's like building up his ult and skirmishing, he's just not as good as he used to be, right? Because of the nerf. Next is my boy Hanzo, and he is yeah, he's worse than Genji. Honestly, he's not the best character. His ult pretty much doesn't get a lot of use unless you're using like a Zarya, or like you're trying to just clear a point maybe, and you try to zone people. Like you're not really gonna kill people unless you're comboing with somebody. He does have high kill pressure, obviously, because you could just hit up someone in the head and they die. His recon dart and like his scatter, I actually don't even know what his new shot is, the one that lets you shoot 5. Like he just doesn't do what like other characters do. Like, I just think that there's characters that do what he does, but better. Obviously, I think McCree's better. I think Ashe is better. He's in that same, like, kind of marksman territory where, like, they have a lot of kill pressure. But outside of his long-range kill pressure, he doesn't have a lot of, like, good utility. And his ultimate is pretty lackluster in general. So, and I think he's like the low end of the B tier. He's still playable, and if I have a Hanzo on my team, I'm vibing. But, yeah, I think he's worse than Genji. Still. All right, so next we got Junkrat. And I swear, if I'm playing against a Junkrat, it's like the one-trick god Junkrat main, and if he's on my team, he's literally, it's his first Junkrat game in 6 seasons and he's a potato. But just off of his abilities, I want to say C or B. I think he's bottom of B. I think he's obviously worse than these characters, right? He doesn't have a lot of utility. Like his trap for the most part won't get people. He does a lot of damage, obviously, but a lot of people do a lot of damage. Ashe will do a lot of damage and have a lot of kill pressure. So does McCree, so does Hanzo, so does Genji, right? Like this is a DPS role, but they all kind of do what he does and apply kill pressure, but better. And they have also utility that helps their team, right? Like you jump in front of someone to deflect. Her Bob can literally sit on the point and apply pressure and help hold a point. His ultimate can't really do that, right? McCree's ultimate can literally make people scatter away just on utility purposes, right? And same thing with Hanzo, he can clear a point. His ultimate, for the most part, if you're trying to do anything fancy with it, it's just gonna get shot, right? It literally gets 2-tapped. It's so vulnerable that you can only try to go for kills. So it might only ever get like a 1-to-1 trade unless you can get like something crazy and get like a 2-to-3 and the team's just playing terribly, right? Yeah, I just think he does what these characters do, but worse, right? He is a nuisance and he's like theoretically like what's considered a low skill character. Turn up, guys, I don't care. He's like low skill.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
He doesn't require skill, guys. I don't care what you say. People talking about Satchelin, he's not the one. But if he's in the game, I'm not upset still, right? He still has a use, still playable. He's not Bastion. I'd rather see a Junkrat than Bastion. I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna say it right now. All right, next on the list is Mommy May.
Yeah, boy.
The GOAT, the Bae. Oh, I love May. I've been having so much fun playing May recently, especially since they brought her back. But I understand what the character can do, and you guys are gonna fucking hate me. I think she's the first character in the C tier. She's good, right? The freeze is good, but removing her ability to actually freeze people made her a little bit worse in my eyes, even though she does more damage now and it slows their speed. Her ult can be impactful, but if people understand what they're doing and playing against her, like she will not be able to pop off with the ult, right? She won't be able to get the insane ult 4K type of shit where she's like dinky people in the head. He does have decent kill pressure. Obviously you can get like a double dink with her icicle, but it is usually pretty hard because it's a slow shooting projectile. Her wall is good, but there's just characters, like I said, like when it comes to this role, she's more of like a utility secondary type of DPS where she has a lot of like sustain and like she can be on point and be a nuisance for a long time, right? She has a pretty high health pool. She can go into cryo freeze and get her health back up and like also be disruptive while being cryo freeze. She has her wall. She's kind of like a utility DPS, if that kind of makes sense. I just don't think that that's what the meta needs, right? For like what the meta is, she doesn't really fit into it, right? She's still playable and she fits into certain comps, but what is the meta? She is not in it. And that's why I think she's not the one right now. Maybe if the meta shifts, she'll go up on the list, but currently she's C. I still love playing her, and if I see her in the game, I'm not upset. Like I said, like if I'm like anything like C and up, I'm cool with. D and F is what I don't really want to see in my game. All right, next is Pharah, and this is pretty self-explanatory. She's just A tier. She's just like Echo. Like they're pretty much interchangeable in my eyes, right? She gets to fly a little bit longer. Her projectiles move a little slower. They do more damage. Her ultimate is a little bit different, but still very powerful. Rocket jump, mobility, boost mobility. You can knock people off maps and stuff like that. But they're like also almost kind of like interchangeable characters, in my opinion. They're still both very good. They're still both better than Ashe. A tier for sure, obviously. She has better combo potential, obviously, with her ultimate, which is why I was contemplating doing this. But I think the kit on Echo is a little bit better overall when not ulting. Like, I think her ultimate might be better than hers, but I think her general kit is better than hers. So that's why I think she's ahead of her, because throughout the whole, like, your ult can be impactful, but you're using your other skills way more often than you use ultimate, right? All right, next is my boy, the tried and true soldier. I'm gonna say E. I feel like he's top of B, bottom of C. I don't know if I want to put him in this spot. I think I'm gonna put him in B. I think he's in B. Obviously, he's worse than the rest of the characters in B. He doesn't really have kill pressure, right? Obviously, can visor and combo off with characters like Kiriko. With, you know, drop the Kitsune, he just goes crazy with tac visor, right? Been clips all over TikTok and shit about it. But his Helix is his like most kill pressure skill. He's kind of just like a consistent damage dealer, and he needs other people to kind of finish his job for him, right? Because a lot of people can kind of heal out of what is Soldier's damage. He doesn't have the kill pressure, and the sprint is good, and if you're in confined rooms and kind of just like dodging around, it's strong, but it's not the best mobility skill. You can get tracked while sprinting, obviously, right? Where as in other mobility skills like the dodge roll, Genji's dash, Pharah rocket jump, Sojourn slide dash jump, it's a lot harder to track. So Soldier's mobility is probably like one of the worst mobility skills. Even though it's still good to have a mobility skill, it's one of the worst ones in my opinion. He's just good constant DPS, but he's not upper echelon because he doesn't have a lot of kill pressure, and that's the biggest problem. And I don't feel like he fits in the like dive meta, right? You know, a lot of these other characters can go in with the dive meta and kind of like get out if they need to get out. He kind of really can't. If Rhino's powerful and you're kind of just like trading back and forth, he's just dropping constant DPS type of champion. Like, I feel like he's like in the same boat as Bastion, but he has a little bit more versatility. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the GOAT. The GOAT! Sojourn. Like, do I need to really explain why she's the best character in the game? Like, why she's the most powerful DPS in the game? Actually, the most powerful character in the game. Like I'm gonna say it, right? The right click's crazy. The E that slows and does damage, that's massive. It's insane. Great mobility. The ultimate that gives her a right click constantly. It's so good. She has such insane kill pressure, great mobility, good zoning tools. Like, she's just all in all the best character in the game. Like, the meta is literally shifted around her. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, I'm not gonna even go into more detail. It's just crazy. She's just so good. All right, so now that we talked about the first GOAT, let's talk about the second GOAT, my boy Reaper. For those who saw my top 3 list, you know he was number 2 on the list for a reason. He's gonna be number 2 on the full list. His kit is insane, and he fits so well into the current dive comp meta that's in the game. Death Blossom is insane, especially paired with skills that give him like more sustained and more invulnerability, like Kiriko and Zarya. He just wipes the entire enemy team with Death Blossom. Great mobility to like shadow step out. He can teleport to flank, and his self-healing is fucking crazy. He will win most exchanges with any character in the fucking game if it's an extended trade. Unless you literally burst him down, he will win the exchange because he has such good self-heal and preservation, right? And he's just defining the meta along with Sojourn, right? So he's just S tier, obviously. If I see a Reaper in my game, I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna give him all the juice.
What do you mean by that?
Right? So now we finished sucking Reaper and Sojourn off. What? Let's hop on to Sombra. And people are gonna be upset as to why I put her here, and I already know where I'm gonna put her. She's worse than Mei, in my opinion. Especially with the nerfs that they did to her and how she works, and how like actually I think she's a pretty complicated character to play, like understanding where to set up your TPs, positionally where to put yourself, when to hack, who to hack, because you don't just want to hack the tank and then just like not really be able to do what your character does and burst somebody down and then just leave because everyone turns around to like clap your shit, right? You don't really get a lot of impact. So you got to know when to hack the right targets and who to hack. And you know, it's people will say like it's easy, it's super brain dead, but like it's something that isn't as like, it's not like playing Junkrat Soldier, not like playing Reaper, Sojourn. These characters are pretty self-explanatory. You just run people down and kill them, right? Like that's what you do. She requires finesse, and with her nerfs, she requires even more finesse, and I think it's finesse that's not even worth picking, right? Because like characters are just more impactful, more powerful than her, right? Which is why I think she's C tier. But if I see her in my game, like I said, I'm not upset. All right, so next is Symmetra, and I know the Symmetra one tricks are gonna be fucking upset with this one, but she's the worst DPS in the game.
No, God, please, no, no.
I was gonna say the worst character, but we got characters like Doomfist and fucking Hamster walking around. But she's the worst DPS by far. The turrets, come on, dog water. The wall, this isn't fucking Valorant. You're not Astra. It's not impactful like that.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
The walls, their ultimate's pretty much not the one. The beam is pretty good. Like her autos are pretty good. The TP also not the one. Like just in general, she just has a kit that isn't really good. I don't think it's worth picking this character over like the entire roster. She's just not good. She's like a fringe pick, maybe super niche that if we're gonna do something niche, just give me Bastion instead. Fuck man, let's just like double shield, Brig, Rhine, roll with Bastion type of shit instead of the Symmetra, you know, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion, but I think she's the worst. Like, she just doesn't fit. All right, next we got my boy Torb, who was number 3 on my list when I made the top 3, right? And he is top of A. I still think that he is one of the most well-rounded DPSs in the game, and he has a lot of impact. His ultimate Molten Core is great. His overload or overdrive, whatever it's called, gives him a lot of sustain and can let him like really run people down, and he can play with the dive. And then his turret is like having an extra body, right, that someone has to focus on. Unlike Symmetra turrets, it can be pointed at them and it can hit from afar, where Symmetra turrets are used like usually like in corners and they kind of turn into them. His can just be in the back being a nuisance constantly, and it's just an extra body of damage that can really put in a lot of work, right? I think he's the GOAT, bro. I love my boy. He's small. He got a really annoying hitbox too. He's just like, he's out there just crip walking with the squad. He's just in there, bro. He's going crazy. I definitely think he's top of A. He's one of my favorite DPS in the game by far, and I think he's super impactful and super powerful, right? So now we get to Tracer, and this is where the list is gonna deviate a little bit from my top 3. My top 3 used to be these guys, right? Him still being like A. But I think Tracer's actually S, guy. I've been playing her a lot more recently, especially with, I don't know if it's a bug or the whole thing with the damage fall off is just like extended now. Like he just melts people from a distance, and her ultimate is still super impactful. She's one of the highest mobility characters in the fucking game. She's just boop, 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 dashing around, recalling, has a lot of self-sustain with the recall because she can go in, take a trade, come back out and be full HP. And she's also just a nuisance in the game. He does what Sombra does, but better now. Like she's just a better version of Sombra. An extreme nuisance to the back line, can be in and out of there quickly and just apply a ton of pressure and just melt people too. Like if you have good aim and good tracking, she can just hit the back line, one clip and be gone, right? She can really shift the tides of a fight. All right, and last on the list we got Widow. Where does Widow go? Is she a B? Is she a C? Nah, she's definitely C. I think she's worse than these characters. But like, is she better than Mei or is she worse than Mei? I definitely think she's better than Sombra though. I'm gonna say she's worse than Mei. And a lot of people are gonna be like in the comments, oh my god, what about the freaking crazy head taps can wipe a whole team, blah blah blah. Kefri's insane. I don't care. At the end of the day, the character does have a lot of potential, but she doesn't do what a lot of these characters do. She has no like real utility to help the team. She's just a raw damage dealing character, right? And if you're crazy, insane with the character, if you're Shroud, pick Widow. I don't care. You're God, right? But I prefer you to pick someone like fucking Sojourn though, because like she also has insane kill pressure with her right click and can do other things as well. Yes, but at the end of the day, if you can drop like raw DPS and have insane aim, Widow is crazy. But in a team 5v5 environment, diving comp, especially the meta that currently exists, she just isn't fun, right? She's not the one. She doesn't fit, but she's still powerful. And if I see her on my team and you're cracked, just go off, right? Like I've had a ton of Widows in my games that have just like annihilated the enemy team because they just snorted the G Fuel / Adderall and we're going crazy, right? But there's also a lot of Widows that just, if you're not popping off and you're not going crazy, it's like Reyna and Valorant. If you're not popping off and going crazy, your character's useless to me, right? And it is useless to the team. So she's C for that reason, right? She's like a feast or famine type of character. So yeah. All right, guys. So that's the list. Let me see if I want to change anything before I end the video. I was contemplating maybe putting McCree up one and Soldier up a couple slots, and maybe even Mei up a couple slots. But you know what? Nah, I'm good with the way it is. This is the final list. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like rating. And if you want to leave a comment down below of what your list is, what you think of this list, if you think I'm crazy for putting Torb number 4 on the list, just leave it down below. And I'll see you guys in the tank list when Rabacha comes out. Peace.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me